I really feel for people in their early 20s, maybe early 30s, looking to purchase a home for the first time. It's trickier in today's market.
Today, we sit down with Ray Grewe, branch manager at Paramount Residential Mortgage Group here in Baltimore, and the voice behind RayCanFinanceIt.com. Ray isn't just talking about loans. He's changing how people see home ownership in Baltimore.
If you look at charts nationally, we're seeing some cities where there's actually depreciation going versus a city like Baltimore, which is much more affordable.
From first-time buyer programs and Vacants to Value to employee benefits that help Hopkins staff find their dream homes.
We're seeing this push from these more expensive cities to more affordable cities like Baltimore.
His work is giving more families a real shot at stability and opportunity. We'll talk about what makes Baltimore's housing market different, what he wishes he'd known before buying his first home, and why more DC residents are choosing Charm City.
You're a renter down in PG County, you're looking at purchasing your first house, well, maybe that $500,000 townhome isn't the right choice for you to come to Baltimore. If I were to do it all over again, the way that I would do it is probably...
This is KlikTV. Ray, welcome to KlikTV.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm happy to learn about your expertise and your industry and what's going on in the world. Okay, so Ray, can you give me an overview of the Baltimore first-time homebuyer programs? Who typically qualifies, what they cover, and where to start?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're really fortunate here in Baltimore to have access to a lot of different types of programs. So starting at like a state level, we actually have a really unique program around town called the Maryland Mortgage Program. You've probably heard of it. They've got the radio commercials everywhere. Pretty fun little program that they've put together. It allows first-time homebuyers to get up to 5% down payment assistance, and actually non-first-time homebuyers can get up to 3% on those.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that. You can also qualify for some assistance like that if you're a non-first-time homebuyer. But locally speaking, Baltimore has done a tremendous job differentiating itself from other cities with some of the first-time homebuyer programs that we have available to us. We just redid our actual first-time homebuyer program from the city. It's got a lot of moving components, so each person is a little different. So those grants actually vary. We've seen some of them over $20,000 that they're getting in assistance from the actual city though. And then they have these stackable benefits that go on top of it. Depending on what's going on in that particular person's household. So for example, if you have a household with somebody with a disability, there's an extra $5,000 bonus that gets lumped on top of it. City employees get their own bonus that gets put on top of it. Yeah, some really fun ones. There's another particular program as well called Vacants to Values, where if you're buying a house that was vacant and was recently renovated, you actually get $10,000 towards your assistant. You don't even have to be a first-time homebuyer to take advantage of that one. So you can get $10,000 to purchase one of these properties that have been recently renovated throughout the city.
So if someone buys a house or rents a house that was recently renovated, they get $10,000.
Not rent, purchasing.
Someone's purchasing
purchasing a house, yeah.
Okay.
So if it was deemed vacant by the city and was then renovated by a construction group, an entrepreneur looking to invest, whatever, was redone, it would then be eligible for the Vacants to Values program, which gives a home buyer $10,000 towards that down payment.
Okay. That's very interesting, Ray. Now, you mentioned there were specific benefits for Hopkins employees. What kinds of employee housing benefits are there? Is there any assistance available?
So Hopkins and University of Maryland both are partnered with a program they call Live Near Where You Work, where they have these rings around the particular campuses, the hospitals, the colleges, and depending on which of the rings that you're in, you can go to the websites. They typically have an employee benefits page. You can look at the rings, and they're correspondent with how much grant money you get for purchasing in those particular places. Some of those are over $17,000 just for being an employee of one of those institutions and then living in those particular neighborhoods that surround the hospitals or campuses.
Okay. Yeah. And is this for like renting or buying?
For purchasing. Purchasing. Those are interesting because they actually do those as a payroll bonus. So they get a bonus through their payroll for purchasing a home in those particular neighborhoods. And they can be stacked with the stuff that we just talked about from the city.
Wow.
So you can get money from the city, you can get money from your employer, and you could really kind of layer in some benefits there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a good time to buy a house, it sounds like. And especially in Baltimore.
Yes.
And if you're an employee at Hopkins, yes, you'll get more benefits. So on another note, what are lenders looking at when someone is applying for a mortgage?
That's a loaded question. We could probably spend about 10 hours sitting here talking about that. But if we want to try to keep it simple, there's an acronym that I always give people. It's ICE. It stands for income, credit, equity. And we always look at those three things. Each one of those levels has different things inside of it that we're looking at, but you can kind of grade yourself according to that. So if you think about your income, it's not necessarily how much income you're making, but really how consistent is your income, right? Have you been at the same job or at least the same line of work for the last 2 to 3 years versus have you taken that millennial sabbatical and taken a year off to go travel Europe? That's probably going to hurt you.
And that could hurt you.
That could hurt you a little more. Credit, right? Credit score, everybody talks about that. It is important, but not as important as necessarily what your debt load looks like on your credit report. So what we're looking at are things like car payments and your credit card payments and your student loan payments. What do those look like in comparison to that income?
They've got to be consistent, I'm sure. And
it's got to be on time. It's got to be consistent, but it can't be too much that you can't take on the debt for the actual mortgage, right? That's what they're looking for. Can you repay that bill? And then equity or assets, as we call it, how much are you putting into this particular transaction, right? Do you have some skin in the game? Because ultimately, we think there's going to be less likely of a chance you're going to walk away from the house if you've got some money invested into it versus if you don't have any at all. And then on the other side of that coin, we look at, do you have reserves, right? If, God forbid you lose your job, do you have the ability to make that mortgage payment for 3, 4, 5 months?
Yeah.
So that can always help you. But a good rule of thumb, I talked about ICE, income, credit, equity. I always tell people you can get away with not having one of those things. You should have 2 out of 3 of those. If your credit's
no income,
no income, right? But if your income's okay, your credit's pretty good, well, we can find you some of the down payment assistance we talked about earlier to help with that. If your credit's not so great, but you've got assets, you've got income, right? We can kind of wiggle around the credit and figure out what we need to do to get you into a good spot. And then if your income is alternative, we'll say. We have some programs that are available that are a little more alternative as long as you have the credit and the assets to support what it is that you're doing.
Right.
So 2 out of 3 of those. If you want to know what lenders are looking at, it's ICE.
Okay. We could talk 10 more hours about
10 more hours.
Okay. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you work with real estate investors here in Baltimore.
Okay.
Can you tell us some ways you're seeing investors make money here in Charm City?
So I just had the opportunity of sitting down a few days ago and listening to some of the key investors around town talk about just impact zones and kind of where they're investing and how they're investing. And there's a lot of unique opportunity out there right now. Internally, what I'm seeing our investors ask for are really 2 sides, right? The long-term holds and the short-term flips. Long-term wise, we've seen a lot of progress with that particular product set in the mortgage industry over the last couple of years. With investors who are looking to purchase a rental property that cash flows. They can purchase that typically without, any income. As long as that particular property is cash flowing, we can verify that it's cash flowing. They can purchase that and we can structure those deals to where it's advantageous for their exit strategy. Do they intend to hold it for 2 years? Do they intend to hold it for 5 years, 10 years, whatever that may be? And we can structure a program based on that particular person's, needs for whatever it is their investing strategy is. So we love those. The long-term holds are great, particularly here in Baltimore with some of the neighborhoods that are changing. And then on the flip side, the short-term hold stuff is become very, very, very interesting. As you're seeing some of these neighborhoods change, we're seeing a lot of investors who want to take advantages of programs like that Vacants to Values that we're talking about, where they purchase a house that might be vacant from the city and then look to put funds into it to renovate and capitalize on what's going on in that particular market. Those are great. I mean, some of those programs, investors can purchase as little as 10% down and then get up to 100% of the money that they need to actually renovate the house that they're looking to do. It can be a little tricky, though. I definitely don't recommend that for the first-time investor. But it is a great way to make money. There's certainly people out there that make a career out of that.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool program, the Vacants to Value.
It is. It's a great benefit for both the investor and for the buyer. right? Because for the investor, while they don't see any money up front, what they're really seeing is that incentive for somebody to purchase their home over a different home, because there's that incentive piece. So those homes tend to sell very fast when they go on the market.
And they're helping the community by fixing up these vacant houses, which is definitely important in Baltimore.
It adds a lot of value. They actually track how many vacants are around the entire city. And over the last 2 years, we've watched that number actually start to decrease as investors are taking advantage of this program. And it's helping the values of the neighborhoods that haven't really seen it historically.
Okay, well, if you're an investor and you're an experienced investor, this is probably something worth looking into.
Yes,
definitely. Like Ray said, maybe not your first time, but maybe next time. You mentioned that people are moving from DC to Baltimore. What factors are affecting this? Like affordability, commute, lifestyle? How is this changing any of the loans that you're pricing or writing?
All the above.
Yeah.
No, seriously, all the above. There's some interesting stuff going on right now in the real estate community wide. If you look at markets around the country that have been really popular over the last couple of years, I would say during COVID and post-COVID, you saw these markets like Dallas and Phoenix and Tampa kind of blow up as people flocked there for whatever reason that they were flocking there for. But we've seen those cities become astronomically expensive because of it. So you're seeing this push kind of away from those cities. If you look at charts nationally, we're seeing some cities where there's actually depreciation going on, right? Like I think Phoenix was the most appreciated city in the US right now, versus a city like Baltimore, which is much more affordable. We're actually seeing larger amounts of appreciation. We saw 9.9% year over year. We're seeing this push from these more expensive cities to more affordable cities like Baltimore. And if you think about where we're geographically located, like we're on that 95 corridor, you're certainly not getting anything affordable in New York. Philadelphia's blown up over the last couple of years and has become very, very, very unaffordable. And then on the flip side of us is DC's the same way. It hasn't been affordable for a very long time. And the metro area around it, you know, your PG County, Montgomery County, it's all become very, very expensive. So people are looking for that cost of living adjustment. And here in Baltimore, we can offer that, particularly with some of the programs that we just talked about, where you're a renter down in PG County and you're looking at purchasing your first house. Well, maybe that $500,000 townhome isn't the right choice for you. But you can come to Baltimore, you can get help with the down payment. The next thing you know, you're in a row home and happy.
Yeah, that sounds
You're just charmed away.
You're charmed away.
Yeah, that's right.
Lastly, if you were buying your first home again today, what would you do differently?
So I'll frame this with, I bought my first house about 10 years ago. Times were much different then, right? I was able to go out, purchase a home at a pretty reasonable interest rate. I think they were something like in the 4s. I bought a single family home with the intent that one day I'd move out, leave a rental property behind me. It's not that it's unattainable today, but it would be much trickier. I really feel for people in their, early 20s, maybe early 30s, looking to purchase a home for the first time. It's trickier in today's market. If I were to do it all over again, the way that I would do it is probably using some sort of house hacking method. For example, most of the programs that we talked about earlier are combinable with a house that's up to 4 units. I'd probably look to purchase something that's multifamily, live in one of the units, and then look to place tenants in the other 4, probably like some of my colleagues, friends, people that other people know that can refer them to me, so that I can build a little community around me. And then once I get that place up and running, and those down payment assistances are forgiven over a 5-year span of time, I can look to move on to my next investment from there and leave behind a 2 to 4 unit property behind me that's ideally cash flowing at that point. And look to capitalize on that equity somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah. And that would be for your first time.
That's what I would do.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. There's lots of different strategies for that. If you want to set up a time, we can certainly talk a little bit more. You can visit my website, raycanfinance.com. And we can set up a time. We can talk a little bit more in detail about strategy and what's right for each person.
Well, that's all I have today, Ray. I appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else you want to tell the audience before we go?
No, that's it. Please stop by my website, raycanfinance.com. Like I said, if you want to set up a chance to speak, I have a calendar on there. You can actually set your own appointment and we'll get in touch.